Hi friends, my name is Akil Ahmed, and in this particular video tutorial I will show you how to add unique identifier aka GUID column in the data flow in SSIS. So the agenda of today's video tutorial is that we will see how can we add the unique identifier column in the data flow. So without wasting further time, let's jump to the demo. So in my D files location I got a CSV file email.csv. So if I open this particular file in the text pad, so here you can see that it contains few columns like ID, first name, last name, email and gender. However, if you look at the ID column, so it is of type integer. Okay, so I want to import this particular file into a SQL Server table. So I have a SQL Server table email here in the test database. Okay, so the structure of the table is exactly similar to the CSV file, but there is an extra column email ID here which is of type unique identifier. Okay, so what I want to do that I want to populate the data into the unique identifier while loading the data from the CSV file. So when the data will be loaded from CSV file to the SQL Server table, so in between in the data flow I want to generate an unique identifier value for the email ID. So how we can do that? Okay, so we will see how we can do this particular thing. Let me create the SSIS package. First of all, let me just close the CSV file. Okay, and this is my blank SSIS package that we will be using today. And here, because we want to import the data, so we will be using the data flow task here. So I can just simply drag and drop the data flow task into the control flow window, and then we can configure the data flow task. Because our source is a CSV file, so we will be using the flat file source, and then we can configure the flat file source. So we will make a flat file connection manager here. We can simply browse the CSV file, select the CSV file. If you preview data, so the data seems good here. All the columns are here except the unique identifier column. So I can click OK. OK. So we have configured our source. Now we need to configure our destination. So we can use the OLEDB destination to insert the data from the CSV file into the SQL Server table. So for now, I will just try to show you inserting the data without the unique identifier, and then I will add the unique identifier column. Okay, so this is my connection to the destination server. Okay, and from the data access mode I will select table or view fast load. I will uncheck these things, and then I can select the email table. Click on mapping. So all columns got mapped from source to the destination except the EMP ID, because there is no column for the EMP ID from the source. So I can click OK, and then I can execute the SSIS package. So this should import the data from the CSV file into the SQL Server table. So the process ran fine, and it should have inserted the 442 records. Yeah, so the data got loaded successfully. However, there is a null value for the EMP ID which is of type unique identifier. Okay, so I can just execute this query, the whole query again. So it should have dropped the table and recreated it. So right now the table is empty. Okay, so how we can add the unique identifier? That's the question. So we can use the script task to add the unique identifier column in the data flow. So now what we can do, we can just simply drag and drop the script component into the data flow, and from the script component type we will use the transformation. Click OK, and now we can connect the flat file source with the script component, configure the script component. Here we need to click on the show advanced editor. Okay, and now we need to go to the input and output columns, expand the outputs, click on output columns, and now here we need to add a new column, EMP ID. Okay, so I can click on add column, and I will call this column as EMP ID. Okay, and now from the data type we need to select the unique identifier data type. So if you scroll down, in the end there is a unique identifier dt_GUID. So we can select this data type. Now click OK. Now we can right click on the script component again, click on edit, and now we need to click on the edit script so that it can open the script editor where we can write the code in the C#. So there is just only single line of code that can be used here, and it can generate the unique identifier values in the data flow. Alright, so the script editor has been opened up, and we can scroll down, and you need to come to this point, input 0 process input row. Okay, and we can add our code here. So I can write row dot and then the column name empid. This is the same column that we just added in the input and output columns, inside the output columns. We want to assign the value to the empid. Okay, and how we will assign the value? We can use the GUID class here, GUID dot, and then there is a new id function. So we can call this new id function. So what this will do, so every time you will call this function new GUID, it will create a new GUID value. Okay, and that particular value, it can be passed to the SQL Server table. Okay, and that will be inserted to the SQL Server table. So for every row that will flow from source to destination, from CSV file to the SQL Server table, for every row, this particular function, this will be called, and it will generate a unique value every time. Okay, so this is only a single line of code. So I can click on file, exit, and now I can click on OK. Now I can connect the script component with the OLEDB destination, and then I can go to the OLEDB destination here, go to mappings, and now from the input column I can select the empid that we just created. Now click OK. Now I can execute the SSIS package, and this should load the data from the CSV file into the SQL Server table along with a new column, unique identifier column. Okay, so now I can just rerun my select query, and it should have the data in the empid. So now you can see that the data has been populated to the empid. Okay, yeah, so this was great. Like this is one of the way that you can add the GUID value into the data flow. Okay, so we had to use the script component and all these things because our source was a CSV file. Okay, our source was the flat file source. However, if your source is a SQL Server table, you are reading the data from a database, from a table. And if you are using the OLEDB source, then there is a very easy method that you can use the new ID function. Okay, so you can write like new ID, and this can actually generate the data, for the GUID. Okay, so suppose you are selecting the data from the email table and you want to add an extra column, so you can simply use this new ID function in the select query, and it can generate the GUID value for you. Okay, but in our case, our source was the CSV file, so that's why we were not able to use the new ID function here. Okay, so that's why we use the script component, and using the script component we generated the GUID value. Yeah, so I think that's it for today's video. Thank you guys for watching the video, and if you like the video, then please click the like button, do subscribe to our channel, press the bell icon and click on all so that you will be notified every time I upload a new video. Thank you so much.